And welcome to Doctor Who. Maybe we'll not do the mask on camera, right? Hi, and welcome to Doctor Who Exactly. The year is still 2010. Matt Smith has just crashed into a living room TVs. Quite literally. This is the 11th Hour rewatch. The 11th Hour is probably the best Doctor Who starting episode, like the first post-regeneration episode. There are quite a few good ones, but a lot of them are a bit middling, like subpar. Usually this is because when they're writing a new Doctor, they haven't found like the proper voice for it yet. The new series has got like way more influence over this than the old series did, because very often the old series dealt with, oh, this script was originally written for another Doctor, but it carried over, which is like why Tom Baker's first serial robot heavily features unit. And the next couple as well, they were still meant to be John Pertwee stories in a way before they got heavily rewritten. And a lot of the time they spend like, who am I? What is this? Am I the Doctor? Question mark. A new series has got a huge advantage over this because you got a head writer in charge of the series. So when the writer decides, oh, this Doctor will be like this, then the voice will at the very least be consistent. Good examples for this are like Deep Breath for the 12th Doctor and The Woman Who Fell to Earth for Chris Chibnall and the 13th Doctor. But the best one, in my opinion, is still Matt Smith. Matt Smith's 11th Doctor is not particularly one of my favourite. I feel like he is too similarly in style compared to David Tennant. There should always be a little bit of a contrast between Doctors in regenerations, so that people are like, oh, this is a bit of a fresh air. So when you go from Christopher Eccleston, who's like intense and mean, to David Tennant, who's like, oh, well, isn't this fun? To Matt Smith, who goes like, oh, well, isn't this fun? And yeah, I just find that the voices of these Doctors are too similar. Yeah, they have the different traits and different mannerisms, but I think there are a lot of 11th Doctor stories that the 10th Doctor would have slotted in very easily. Whereas a lot of 9th Doctor and 12th Doctor stories wouldn't work with either Matt Smith or David Tennant. But I digress. Let's talk about the episode proper. First opening scene with Matt Smith nearly crashing out the TARDIS, nearly hitting Big Ben. Don't like it. Yep, don't like it. This doesn't feel like it fits the rest of the episode. It feels like they made an episode and then realised, oh, right, we need a bit before the title sequence. Matt, jump around the TARDIS a few times. Yeah, it doesn't gel with me. But as soon as Matt Smith crash lands into Amelia Pond's backyard, that's when the episode, it just hits the ground running and it just keeps up the momentum. There's very little dull time in this episode. It just keeps going, and this does feel like we're constantly in motion, and it's action-packed without being over-the-top action-packed. First off, the interaction that the Doctor has with Amelia is great. I love the Doctor with little kids, and I always find it weird that there's never actually been a child companion. It's probably got to do with the fact that it might just be too scary for little kids to see other little kids in danger. And the fact, of course, that child actors need to be protected, so they can't work the same mad hours that everybody else does, because apparently Doctor Who is quite a busy job, apparently. Like, the moment I realised when Matt Smith was the 11th Doctor on the rewatch was when he was just babbling incoherently, and then all of a sudden Amelia goes like, "Are you a policeman?" And suddenly there's like a switch that got triggered, and the doctor go like, "No, why? Did you call for a policeman?" Immediately he's like a professional hero, and he's like, "Oh, this young child might be in danger. I need to put on my game face." So he starts eating food because he's hungry, apparently. That's a lovely, weird sequence where he hates beans, bacon, yogurt, and toast, but he ends up eating fish fingers and custard. Bit weird. And this is all still like before the episode actually gets underway, and it just gives us a lot of meat for Matt Smith's Doctor to show who he is. And it's lovely, it's great, it's terrific. But when he hops into the TARDIS trying to not jettison the engines, I forgot what was going on, and he ends up several years later, and it shows how much influence the Doctor can have. He basically uprooted her entire life, and people thought she was insane just because she saw a strange man one night. Yeah, so there's a lot of Moffatisms in this episode, and yeah, you can hate those if you do. There's a lot of fast cuts, there's a lot of splicing in between, focus shots, and weird stuff, and this was still the first episode, and it didn't bother me as much. So the Doctor's trying to figure out where this Prisoner Zero is, and he's been hiding inside the house for Amy's entire life. If that isn't something to make you paranoid, I don't know what is. So Prisoner Zero escapes after having escaped, trying to hide from, you know, the big eye monsters, the Atraxi, who threaten to blow up the planet. And we get very little information of the Atraxi, who are like prisoner guards, question mark. So they're threatening to blow up the entire planet because they couldn't find this one alien being. Seems like a bit overkill, but you know, alien monsters got to have the stereotypical one trait, so that works, kind of. So we have a little bit of a dual threat. We have to find the alien monster Prisoner Zero before the other alien monsters blow up the planet. And this leads to the Doctor trying to figure out what's going on. There's a big spaceship in the sky, and we get a great shot where his mind just starts racing, and he's literally going point of view camera to all the angles of the area, and he focuses on Rory Williams, and he notices that everybody's watching the spaceships, but Rory is watching someone else watching the spaceship, and that's what stands out to the Doctor. And I find this minute detail noticing, it's very Sherlock Holmes, and yeah, it makes sense because the same dude made Sherlock, the BBC series, but it works, and it just feels very Ace Attorney. If you've played Dual Destinies, you'll know what I mean. I just wish they did this more, they'd done it more in the future, because this is, I think, the only time you see it, and maybe a little bit in Let's Kill Hitler, but that's neither here nor there. The Doctor, I don't really know how to put this any further. The Doctor starts up a Skype chat with a lot of big brains, including Patrick Moore, who used to play the xylophone.
Patrick Moore plays the xylophone.
And he just proves how clever he is by writing papers very quickly in the Skype chat. Sure, mate, sure thing, mate. I mean, he could have just gone, "I'm the Doctor," and have them go like, "Oh yeah, we all know the Doctor." But Steven Moffat had to show that the Doctor is clever, which works. So the Doctor, Amy and Rory, they corner Prisoner Zero in a hospital, and we have Oscar winner Olivia Colman. Future Oscar winner in this case, but Oscar winner Olivia Colman, and she basically has a part that's 3 minutes of screen time, as a glorified cameo. That's a waste of talent. This lady is so brilliant, so great an actress. That's what she gets. In hindsight, that must feel very bad for whoever greenlit that. So the Doctor corners Prisoner Zero. Prisoner Zero takes his appearance and he's like, "That's rubbish, who's that supposed to be?" And then Rory goes, "That's you? Oh right, been a busy day, haven't found a mirror." That's great writing. That's Steven Moffat on form. So he manages to attract the Atraxi attention by creating a binary virus of sorts, an algorithm that just messages 0000000 to a mobile phone. All of the world at the same time to one single mobile phone. I don't know how that works, but that's science fiction. We're just gonna ignore it. And the Atraxi find Prisoner Zero and they captured him. And that's it. The Atraxi leave, Prisoner Zero is defeated, and then this is the pinnacle of the episode. It has had several pinnacles, but this is peak Doctor Who. He calls the aliens back, the Atraxi, to make sure that they don't come to Earth again, because they threaten to blow the place up. And the Doctor is not having any of that. So this is a very I get to give a speech moment, which Steven Moffat loves writing for his characters. Russell T Davies as well, I suppose, but they're different flavours. Russell T Davies' Doctor monologues were usually like I am the terror who flaps in the night, whereas Steven Moffat's monologues are more like let me wax poetically so you can feel very afraid. And he does it. He asks the Atraxi, is this planet guilty of any crimes of the Atraxi? Are these people guilty of any crimes as by the laws of the Atraxi? Is this planet offended? And it starts doing like this demo reel of all kinds of Doctor Who monsters, both new and classic. Don't ask how they got the footage. And then it shows all 10 Doctors that we knew of at that time in sequence. And Matt walks through David Tennant's face, like the big blue protection. And it's like to emphasize the 10th Doctor was hugely popular. But this was like, this is your new Doctor. Here he is. Even though he's been cooking the entire episode and it's just been put on his costume, we just see him as he is for the first time. And it's such a, oh yeah moment, despite it's just talk. They just talk. He doesn't blow them up, he doesn't do anything. He just says like, skedaddle and don't come back. And they run. Magic. This episode is fantastic. If you ever need an episode to introduce someone to Doctor Who, this is one of the forerunners. This should be in the forefront. This is fantastic. The 11th Hour is brilliant and I can't recommend it enough. Stuff like Amy being a kissogram is a bit weird, but that's the biggest gripe I have alongside the introduction sequence. Yeah, this showed that the new series of Doctor Who, Series 5, was gonna do things very different, and I'm very glad it did. So there's gonna be another rewatch, this time for the Doctor's Wife. So, won't you join me next time for hashtag bigger on the inside? See ya! I just can't get used to the fact how short my hair is. That's why I'm wearing that hat, otherwise I'm just doing this all the entire time.